The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They pay more extra places than any other bookie.
Well, a very warm welcome to the Racing Postcast. I'm Ed Quigley. We've got Paul Keeley away in a Hollywood studio, so we've drafted in G-Rod from the betting desk. Mr. Graham Rodwell joins us. And on the line, we have David Jennings, our Irish correspondent, and Frank Hickey from Paddy Power. Very kindly joins us to share his pearls of wisdom. So great to see you all then, gentlemen. Of course, there's only one race we have to begin with, which is the Tingle Creek at Sandown, which in many ways has been the Douvan anti-post circus. But fact of the matter is, Douvan does not run, Underso does run. We'll come to you then, G-Rod. Are you with Willie Mullins' raid, against him, or are you sitting on the fence?
I find this a really hard race to fathom. To my eye, Underso is the best horse in the race and should win, but I'm convinced he wants more testing ground than he's going to get, and he's coming off quite a long layoff. And obviously, I'd much rather see him coming in with a run. As I say, he's the most likely winner, but at the prices, I couldn't back him because I've got doubts about the fact that the ground and ideally, I mean, I'm sure he'll be fit enough to do himself justice, but he's not going to be at peak fitness first time out, is he?
No, indeed. And we'll come to you, Frank, for how your market shaping up there for the Tingle Creek.
We are 15 to 8 Underso, 3 to 1 Armad, 100 to 30 Sire de Grugy, 7 to 2 God's Own, 20 to 1 Vibrato Valtat, and 50s Sir Valentino. I
mean, is it a case if you're seeing money for everything now? Douvan's not running. Is Underso very solid?
Yeah, he's particularly solid. I think Graham is right, though. He's one we'd probably be looking to stand this evening into tomorrow morning, because coming off a break, the ground's definitely a bit lively for him, and the other angle is it's very likely he won't get it easy up front either with Armad in there, so they may well cut each other's throats perhaps. It's just possibility, but to my mind, God's Own represents a bit of value considering he's won 3 Grade 1s, he's excellent going right-handed, and unusually for this time of year he gets his ground. I had a small bet on him earlier in the week, and I might even go in again tomorrow.
Okay then, so strong word for chances. Yeah, strong word for God's Own there from Frank. And I mean, Sire de Grugy is aiming to become only the second horse after flagship Uberales to win the race 3 times. Paul Nicholls is after his 10th success in the race. But earlier on in the week, we spoke to Gary Moore about his Tingle Creek prospects, Sire de Grugy and Armad.
Sire de Grugy would probably be a slightly better workhorse. He'd have a little bit more speed. I think if you ran the two of them over 2.5 miles, Armad would kill him. But over 2 miles, you know, like Sire de Grugy's always had that little bit more class. You know, he was a 140-odd hurdler, which obviously he's been a better horse over fences. But you know, like Armad wouldn't have been that class over hurdles. It's his jumping, and since he's gone chasing. But then you don't know how much if he improves like he did from 4 to 5, to 5 to 6. You know, if he improves like that again, you know, then it could be anything.
David Jennings, we'll come to you. I mean, are you with the Gary Moore camp? You with Underso? You following God's Own? It's an intriguing encounter, this one, isn't it?
Intriguing is one word to describe it, I suppose. I think it's a desperate race, to be honest with you. And for that reason alone, I think Underso is a hell of a price at 15 to 8. And I know there is negatives, the ground, first time out, all that. But sometimes you just have to simplify these things and just realise that he is by far and away the best horse in the race.
Is he?
On his day. I just think if you go through the race, Armad is rated 124 over hurdles. Underso is rated 161 over hurdles. That's a huge amount of improvement. I don't think Underso is worse over fences than he is over hurdles. Obviously, Armad is a better chaser than he is over hurdles. Sire de Grugy is 10 years of age. Underso was odds on for the Queen Mother Champion Chase last year. Sire de Grugy was 16 to 1. You go in God's Own. Yeah, but I'm just saying, God's Own, I'm not sure Sandown is his track, to be honest with you. I just think, like, he ran in the race 2 years ago and Dodging Bullets won it, and he was after winning the Halden Gold Cup that time, and he was beaten 22 lengths. He was only 7th that day, and the only other time he's ran at Sandown, he's fallen in that race in April. I'm just not sure if the track at Sandown, the undulations of it, I know Frank said he likes to go right-handed, but I'm not sure the undulations of the track really suit him. Then you're on to like Vibrato Valtat and Sir Valentino, so there's nothing left. I just think Underso, he's obviously really been working well. I just think, I know he fell first time out the last 2 seasons in a row, but on both occasions he would have won by wide margins. I obviously think the first run takes the fizz out of him, but I think if you could get, I don't know, is there any fall or insurance betting up there, Frank? Because I think with Underso, it's a case of he wins or he falls. I'd be shocked if he was beaten, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we don't have it up at the moment, but we should have it up either late this evening or tomorrow morning.
Like, I'd happily take 5-4 fall or insurance Underso.
So we've got one Underso fan, we've got a God's Own fan. For you then, G-Rod?
Yeah, as I say, it's a completely confusing race. The one I can't have is Armad. I mean, it'd be absolutely mad to back him.
Right, that's my only bet on the card.
He's going to need the
no
run.
chance.
He's going to need the run. The other day, Gary Moore was more confident about Cider Grugy than he was Armad. He isn't good enough anyway. He has to make a huge amount of improvement. He needs softer ground. He's going to get taken on for the lead by Underso. I cannot have Armad. It's a 3-horse race between Underso, God's Own, Cider Grugy. With the doubts over Underso, I would have to back God's Own. I'm sure Cider Grugy wants really soft ground nowadays. Don't get me wrong. I know that he won that champion chase on decent surface, but that was when he was absolute peak of his powers. Now he's a little bit older. I think he's lost a little bit of his speed, and when it comes up testing, that suits him.
To play devil's advocate with Armad, say obviously he takes on Underso for the lead, and as previous seasons, puts Underso into a huge jumping error, and then you've got Cider Grugy, in your words, does need lots softer ground.
Yeah.
You are then struggling for...
Yeah, but then God's Own will surely outclass him. I mean, he's a far better horse than Armad on all form that we've seen so far. Don't get me wrong, I like Armad. He's a huge improver, but this is just such a big step up for him. God's Own is the better. He's got his ground. He's had the runs. He comes here match fit. I am a little bit worried about what Dave Jennings said. I mean, I'm not sure this course ideally suits him. Maybe not the undulations. I think the fact that it's such a stiff test of jumping. God's Own's problem is that he has a habit every now and again of putting in slow leaps.
I thought the Peterborough Chase would have been the natural race for him, personally.
Yeah, but this is, as Dave said, this is cut up, hasn't it? And they must have looked at this and thought, this is a great opportunity, we'll have a go here. And he does seem to jump better out of better ground. So God's Own at the prices for me. Don't get me wrong, if you switch the prices around, and you said to me, what's going to win this race, I'd say probably Underso. But at the prices, God's Own's a value. OK, so split opinion on the big one there. We'll shuffle along to the 155, which, of course, is the Racing Post Henry VIII Novices Chase. This race, of course, was won by Armad 12 months ago in very good style. Not particularly inspiring from a betting medium, or is it, Graham? No, LTR is an absolute certainty. This horse would have won the champion hurdle this season. I'm convinced he is absolutely top class.
He's really beefed up, hasn't he? For want of a better phrase.
His form's unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, that Supreme Novices last year was a strong race, and he absolutely trounced them, and he flew up the hill. And this year, they're saying in the paddock at Kempton last time, he looked like he'd improved stones, in physical appearance. You can't glean a lot from his first roam over fences. He did everything asked of him, absolutely bolted up. Noel Feely said the other day that he gave him the best feel any horse has given him since Masterminded. I think this horse will win on Saturday. I think he'll win the Arkle. I think he's a tip-top novice chaser.
OK, Frank, I mean, obviously strong odds on for Altior. Is it a case of distances here?
I think that's the way it'll be going all right. He's 4-11. Charbel is 5-1. Maracuja 7-1. And Max Ward is 20-1. It's very difficult to see him beat. And I agree with everything Graham said. He's an Arkle winner in waiting, really.
And he's top of your market on the anti-post lists for the Race Post Arkle in March, I presume?
He is. I think the last time I checked, he was 2-1.
2-1. So, OK, fair enough then. I mean, DJ, we must quickly mention the others. I mean, Charbel, it has to be said, ran in a really hot novice chase at Utoxeter, of which the form's actually worked out quite well, because Top Notch, I think, has come out and won twice. Le Président, who's behind him that day, has come out and won since. So at least you'd like to think Altior has one rival to take on here.
Absolutely, and it'll be an interesting watch because... Maracuja is likely to go kind of take them along for a good spell of it, and he's a real kind of keen going front runner who seems to enjoy himself and was reasonably impressive the last day. But I actually think Altior is still value for the Arkle at around 2-1. He just man, I know what you're saying, and you have to wait, and the horse could get injured, and all these things can happen. But he reminds me so much of Sprinter Sacre, in that when he actually jumps a fence, he lands running. So it's almost as if you imagine a hurdler in an athletics race, when they land, they almost have their next stride gone before the other horse get there. I just love the way he was landing at Sandown. Now, that might sound stupid, but I just think he's really quick away from his fences. He was the best hurdler around last year. He's an even better chaser. So look, it's a very, very short price for the Racing Post Arkle. But if he wins by a wide margin tomorrow, he could be a lot shorter.
I completely agree with Dave as well on the Arkle. Look at the Arkle recently. Since they inputted the JLT, it's become one of the most uncompetitive races of the whole festival. 4 of the last 5 winners have gone off long odds on, including Duvan last year at 1-4.
If Min stays fit and keeps winning Mickey Mouse races, at least you should probably ensure a price for Altior come March.
Yeah, but Altior's already freshed Min, hasn't he?
Yeah, I agree.
Over hurdles, and Altior looks like he's going to make a better chaser. I mean, Min is going to have to make a huge jump to get anywhere near him. I think 2-1 for the Arkle's a good price. I know other people disagree and whatever, but
we'll get slated for this now later.
I know, but to my eye, 2s is a great price. I mean,
4 months away from the race.
I'm all over Identity Thief. So
I went in on Duvan at the same time last year at the same price, 2-1, and come the day, don't get me wrong, everyone said at the same time last year 2s is a terrible price on Duvan. Come the day they weren't saying it when Duvan was 4s on.
No, fair enough. So yeah, Altior to win this on the way to bigger and better things. Moving on to the 225, got a listed handicap hurdle. Bit of a trappy contest for me, this one. Graham, who's your winner?
Yeah, it's a good betting race, isn't it? I like the look of this race. I'm gonna back Zubair for Paul Nicholls off top weight. I like the way it went last time out against So Royal. I think So Royal's quite smart. I know that he got beat at Newcastle, but I don't think conditions were ideal for him that day, and that was a huge step up in growth for So Royal. Zubair gave him a decent race to the last, albeit he looked when he was beaten when he was Phil. I mean, this is a far easier contest. He's got smart juvenile form. I know he's got top weight, but it's only off a mark 144, and I thought he had the capability of making up into a better performer than that last year. The other one that's worth mentioning is Faithful Mount for Ian Williams. Big price. Right. I could see that running really well each way. But I'm going to back Zubair, and I'll have a little forecast Zubair and Faithful Mount.
Now, Frank, you'll have a nice handicap to get stuck into. Any involvement here in this one?
I was just having a look at it this morning, and Nicky Henderson has a good enough record in this. He's won it twice in the past 4 years, and even though he has the favoured brain power, I thought Consul de Tay was interesting off a mark of 133. Now, when you look at his 2 runs in the UK, he was 3rd behind Protect the Flow and Clanders Oboe on his debut in a Grade 2, the Triumph Hurdle Trial at Cheltenham. Clanders Oboe did plenty for the form last weekend in Newbury, and then he ran 10th in the Triumph. Now, he's been given a break, obviously, for the summer, and there's a good chance this horse could be quite a bit better than 133. He's 6-1. I'd probably have an each way bet on him. I'll just give you a rundown on the betting there if you want.
By all means, yeah.
It's 130 brain power. In the tier is 9-2, Zubair 5-1, Wishful Dreaming 11-2, Consul de Thay is 6-1, Grasdan is also 6-1, Faithful Mount is 14s, and it's 16-1 bar.
DJ, you getting involved at all?
Probably not, but I think the 2 Henderson horses are the most interesting ones. I think you could actually get away with backing the 2 of them at 6-1, Brain Power and Consul de Thay, as Frank alluded to there. Like Consul de Thay, that run in Cheltenham is really, really interesting, and the fact that he even ran him in the Triumph, it said to me basically that, right, if he wants to go out and win a Triumph, he can, but we want to keep his novice status for next season. So I thought that was an interesting thing to do. Look, he finished 10th. He was one of the first under pressure that day. He actually didn't run that bad. He ran okay. He was only beaten 24 lengths, and off 132, he's obviously interesting. I thought Brain Power's form has worked out quite well, and he beat 2 Tafts last year. He seemed to like Kempton, and I thought he ran okay. He was 3rd in the Grade 1 at Punchestown behind Don't Touch It and Petit Mouchoir. That was a decent run. Again, I thought he ran better than the distance he was beaten suggests at Cheltenham in the Greatwood. Made a mistake early on, I think, at the second, and then he was being nudged along. I just thought it was a race like that with such a big field. I thought it was a little early in his education for that, but I'd be surprised if one of the two Henderson horses didn't win, to be honest with you.
This is the day as well, isn't it? A few years ago when I think Henderson almost went through the card. He had about 5 or 6 winners on this day a few years ago, and his team always hit the form, don't they? After just around Hennessy, just after. I see Henderson having a good weekend.
Yeah, it's a strong word for the Henderson contingent in the 225. And very quickly, gentlemen, anything else that stand out? Of course, the 3:30 is on television. It's the London National, full of all kinds of beautiful old timers in this one. G-Rod, have you got a view on this?
Yeah, I had a good look at this. It's a strange, isn't it, having this and the Beecher Chase on the same day?
Yeah.
I know that they're at the opposite ends of the country, but similar sort of races.
And all on unusually quite quick ground.
Yeah, Connor's Toy, I like. Number 12, Paul Morgan. I know Christian Williams has got quite a hand, hasn't he, down there at Paul Morgan's yard. Done a great job down there. And this one was a huge improver last season. Won loads of races. Stays very well. Disappointing first time out at Cheltenham when I tipped it, but ran as if it needed the run. I mean, it was up there and then just didn't get home. Probably had this sort of race in mind.
Charlie Deutsch taking the 5 off.
Claiming 5. Yep. Who also rides me other one, doesn't he? Faithful Mount. So let's hope he's doing well, isn't he, as well, Charlie Deutsch?
Yeah.
Let's hope that it continues.
And DJ, anything else on the Sandown card?
I thought one of the most interesting runners was Cruiserway in the opener for Tom George and Adrian Heskin. He was just beaten by a horse I love, Move with the Times, in a Wincanton bumper, but he came out next time at Aintree and won his bumper, beat Elgin, who has won since at Newcastle, and looked a gorgeous horse that day. Loved the way he quickened up, and I'd say there's loads of improvement in him. I'm kind of quite excited by him now, I have to say. Cruiserway in the 12:20.
Yeah, Cruiserway in the opener there. And Frank, any shrewd investments?
I'd echo what David said about Cruiserway there. Despite the fact that Nicky Henderson's won the past 5 runnings, he was very impressed with Aintree, and Elgin did find the form in Newcastle, so I'll be definitely following David in there. Top Blue Rambler in the 120 was interesting as well. He won a Weatherby as he liked when absolutely smashed up off a mark of 122. He's up to 131, but if you consider he was 6th in the Starovich, only beaten 7 lengths off a mark of 99 on the flat, I think he could still be well handicapped off 131, and the trip should be no problem considering he got 2-2 on the flat. And in the London Grand National, Corporate Surprise is 8-1. He's been to Sandown 3 times and he's never been beaten more than a length, including last time out when nailed on the line by loose chips. He's sure to go close at an each way price.
Okay, then I thought Fingal Bay, the old boy, on a bit better ground, could go well in the 120. So coming up after a break, we'll be having a look at Aintree.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP5 in all races at one meeting today. And at one meeting every day this month. Max £25 per race, not available in shops. 18 plus, gambleaware.co.uk.
We join us again on the Racing Post cast. Looking ahead to Aintree now. 135, of course, is the Beach Handicap Chase. The big one on the card for many people here. And we'll come to you then, Frank. I mean, any money for anything outrageous? And how's your betting shaping up?
Well, our prices at the moment are Uccello Conti and Alvarado are 7-1. Viscount de Noyer and the Young Master 9-1. The Last Samurai and V. Leon Rouge are 10-1. Highland Lodge is 12-1. St. R, Sizing Cole, Dare to Endeavour and Cogery are 14-1 and 16-1 Bar. We've been seeing some interesting money for Viscount de Noyer all week. But other than that, there's been bits and bobs for everything. I think it's a really competitive race, so it's likely to see something shorten up considerably tomorrow, I would imagine. But at the moment, it's wide open.
I was going to say, Frank, most years this race is running something similar to an Amazonian swamp. It's some pretty decent ground relatively at Aintree. I mean, some of the classier horses carrying top weights here are not being discounted, and the market would suggest that.
Oh, definitely. Like ordinarily, this would be running soft to heavy ground, and you would think the Last Samurai running off 159 would have no chance of carrying that kind of weight and giving that weight away. But he definitely has a squeak, considering the ground is going to be more like the actual national type ground than December type ground. There were a couple in here that interested me. Now, one is at the top of the market, Alvarado. He's been to national twice, finished 4th twice. You can do worse than back whatever Paul Maloney rides around the national fences. He's a knack of getting them round. I think that looks sure to go close, considering the marks was 4th in national off were 140 and 139. He runs off 135 here. His reappearance at Cheltenham, he was seen running on late in the day to finish 6th. And there was one that kind of broke my heart a small bit last year when he came down to second last. But Portrait King is a couple of pounds lower this time. I think he's a massive player at a massive price. I think he's 20-1 with us. I think he might be a small bit bigger. If his jumping stands up, he is handicapped to go close. And we will be 5 places on this race as well tomorrow for anyone looking for an each way bet on the race.
Okay, 5 places each way there. Graham, of course, Double Ross was running a Storm in Hennessy only a few days ago. It's been a remarkable training for you to get this one to win. But, I mean, how do you view this race?
Yeah, I mean, it's wide open, isn't it? I mean, it's turning into a great race in its own right, isn't it? I mean, it used to be a bit of a trial for Aintree, although I don't think we've had anything win it and go on and win at Aintree, have we yet? But nowadays, it's just a really strong race on its own, a great handicap, and I had like 5 or 6 that came up on a short list, sort of the Young Master, Saint R, Vicomte de Noyer. Obviously, Double Ross, you mentioned, ran an absolute cracker in the Hennessy, but can he be trusted to back that up? Who knows?
Who knows?
You've got to think he must have come out the race well. I mean, Nigel Twiston-Davies wouldn't be running him. Alvarado was a huge eye catcher at Cheltenham last time, running strongly. I think if Coggery got off the ground, that would be a big player as well. On the ground, I would have to back Saint R.
Right.
For Tom George, having a fantastic time. Second in the National last year. Disappointed in it this year, but that was on soft ground. I mean, the ground that's come in his favour. He had a decent run at Sandown last time, went third. Well, I mean, Tom George is having almost as good a season as Colin Tizard,
isn't he? Absolutely
fantastic.
Flying. Yeah, indeed. DJ, do you find this a muddling affair, or are you nailing your colours to the mast?
Frank said there's 5 places there. I think I'd want 15 places here, to be honest with you.
You still might not get it placed.
I still might not get it. No, because I want 15 places and I want fodder insurance, because it's just, I was going through it the other day and that has a chance. God, that has a big chance. Yeah. That has a massive chance. And I came, there's about 12 or 13 horses in this where I could say that you could pick out different form lines and say that has to have a huge chance. And the thing about this, so many of these have so much experience and they seem to love jumping around Aintree. You know, there's plenty of horses in it with experience, so you'd imagine most of them are going to get around, especially on this type of ground. I wonder, will there be any betting on finishers with you, Frank? Because I'd say the majority of them will finish. Usually you only get a handful finishing in this race, but I think the majority of them will finish. As regards the selection, if I was pushed, I'd go for Midnight Prayer, but it'd be a no bet race for me.
Okie doke then. So it's a bit of a muddling affair. I think generally we agree the 135. Looking ahead to the 240, we've got a listed chase in action here. Small field, select field, some pretty decent performers. Irish Cavalier, horse number 1 on your card. I suppose the ground is in his favour here. Yeah,
big improver. When he beat Q-Card, wasn't he, at Weatherby? Obviously, turned the form around the other last time. It's the race that Don Poli won, isn't it, last year? Beat Many Clouds, who runs again. Many Clouds, probably the best in at the weight, you'd say. He certainly looks like he's nicely treated there, but...
Need the run.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, he's going to probably need the run. This race usually goes to likely race second season chaser who's just come out their novice year, and there's one that makes obvious appeal, which is Minella Rocco,
right?
Which I suspect, if you speak to Frank, might be at the head of the market. And there's one other that is, I think, at the other end of the market, Le Mercure,
right?
And when I was pricing this up, theoretically in my head, I had Le Mercure as about second or third favourite. So when I looked down the list and saw he was bottom, I thought that automatically made him a bet. Paul Nicholls has got a knack with these staying chasers of finding improvement out of nowhere. He always finds one that comes through and makes huge strides. And I know that Le Mercure has always been held in very high regard. I think there was some...
the quote is he wants a flat track as well. So
this will suit him. I remember someone telling me, I don't know how true it is, very early in his career, Paul Nicholls said, if I've got another Courto Star in my yard, it's Le Mercure.
Oh dear.
Well,
give that with the mockers.
He's no Courto Star, is he? But anyway. But he's got the potential to be up to listed class, you would have thought, and at the prices, he's the bet, although I do think that Minella Rocco is the most likely winner.
Well, Frank, speaking of prices, how do we go?
We're 15-8 Minella Rocco, 11-4 both Irish Cavalier and Many Clouds, 15-2 Cocktails at Dawn, and 8 Le Mercure. Look at this race. As soon as Native River passed the line last week, I was thinking there's only 2 horses you'd want for value purposes for the Gold Cup, and that's Native River himself and this Minella Rocco. When you think He was third, beating a couple of lengths, and slightly hampered too off 155 at Cheltenham a few weeks ago. And to put in perspective, Long Run was beaten off 158 in the Paddy Power on his Gold Cup winning season on his debut. It just shows you what a good effort that was. I think he's likely to step up greatly for that run. I think he'll take a world of beating here, and I'd recommend backing him for the Gold Cup as well. I think if he wins here, you won't be getting 16-1 tomorrow evening.
Okie doke then, so a strong word there. And DJ, I mean, are we being unfair writing Irish Cavalier off? Because essentially he's got the best piece of form in the book from any chaser in this field this season.
Oh, forget about him. He's had too many hard races already for me.
Right.
Yeah, look, it was just a war of attrition, and it was 14 days ago, and that was a war. He came out the worst in that war. I'd be shocked if he came back. I wouldn't be surprised if he was tailed off. Right. I think he's a good horse, but it's just too big of an ask for me, to be honest with you. I agree with Frank. I think Manila Rocco was my nap at the whole festival last year at Cheltenham, and he did me a good turn, and I think he could be a real top-class Grade 1 chaser. I'm not sure if 3 miles on good ground around Aintree is what he's looking for. I'm just not sure. I wonder, will it just be a little bit sharp for him? At this time of year, when he's not fully fit, I just wonder, is this not the day for him? And that is a kind of a second half of the season plan for Manila Rocco. That's my only worry. I have no doubt that he's by far the best horse in the race, and will end up being the best horse in the race if they play their cards right and go for the right races.
I was going to say, officially, he's only the third best horse in the race at the moment.
Yeah, but he's only 6. And from a betting point of view, I think this is the perfect race for Cocktails at Dawn. I think he's best fresh. I think he's best at Aintree on a track like this, where his jumping, he's a really good jumper. First time out last year, he hammered As to Me at Chepstow in a really good beginner's chase, the race that Clandas Obo made his debut in this season. I just think this is the time to catch Cocktails at Dawn. I think he has everything in his favour. He's 15-2 now. I think when you go through the race, I don't think it's the day for many clouds. I think Irish Cavalier has had too many hard races already. I'm not convinced by Le Mercury. I think there'll be another day for Manila Rocco. So it's by process of elimination. I think this might be the day for Cocktails at Dawn. I think it could be this day and maybe the Grand National later on in the season. So it'll be Cocktails at Dawn for me.
Okay, so split views on that one. Quickly go to you then, Frank, for the Grand Sefton at 3:15. I mean, how are you pricing this one up? Another minefield of a race for punters, no doubt.
Yeah, this is wide open. Benny's Miss, last year's winner, is 6-1. Le Vatican is 13-2. As Demi and Seafood are 7-1. Vintage Vinny's 9-1. Valadom is 10-1. Henryville 11-1, and it's 12-1 bar.
I mean, you got a view on the race, or happily sit this one out?
These big handicaps just draw me in.
Of course he has a view.
They just draw me in.
I'm waiting for the day where you just say, I've got absolutely no idea, and that's it, full stop.
I did that before, and Bruce almost dropped dead.
well, Bruce isn't here, and come on, what you been going into? Go on.
There's 17 runners, and there's 2 caught my eye. Now, they're not a massive price, but as to me, I know... I think David put him up for the Best Victor Gold Cup, and he ran well. He was 7th last year off, 8 pounds higher in the Topham. I think a return to this track might actually suit. He jumped great at it last time back in April. I think he's sure to go give you a run for your money at least. And Seafood of Dr. Newland, I think they were trying to make a 3 mile plus chaser out of him. He went back to Musselburgh over 2 miles 3 the last day, won handy enough. I think he's still relatively well handicapped off only 7 pounds higher. I think the 2 of them will give you a run for your money tomorrow. What's a cracking renewal.
It is. It's a good betting heat. Graham, yourself?
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with either of those shouts, actually. Both were on my shortlist. However, the one that I like the most is not either of those. It's a Vintage Vinny. I think he's going to be really well suited by this race. I mean, he's a blast-off front runner. Has only got one way of going. He's a bit of a chancy jumper, but he's bold rather than careful, which might suit this sort of track.
Ground should shoot better here than it did last time.
Absolutely.
As well.
I can just see him after 3 or 4 fences being in the first one, because I don't think anything will go with him. And then if he gets into a rhythm from there, I think he'll take all the catching. I just think this race sets up nicely for Vintage Vinny.
What price you Vintage Vinny on, Frank?
9-1, I think, wasn't it?
9-1. So each way possibilities that one. And DJ to wrap up.
Yeah, as to me, Ed, look, I backed Asdemi at Cheltenham the last day, and it was one of these races, right? When you look, like his comments and run and read, towards rear of midfield, ridden after 3 out, never any impression. And while that is right, there's nothing wrong with those comments and running. If you actually watch the race again, he was unbelievably unlucky at various stages. He actually jumped quite well, but every time he landed, maybe 3 or 4 fences, he landed behind a horse, and Sean Bowen had to pull him back to get around the horse. And it wasn't that he was kind of hugely unlucky in running. It's just nothing really went his way. He was further back than ideal because a horse made a mistake in front of him. If you actually watch him and just focus on Asdemi for the whole race, you kind of say to yourself, do you know what? He's a much better horse than being beaten 19 lengths into 8th. I came out of the race that day still thinking he was well handicapped off 139. He's been dropped £2 since to 137. He's shown already that he loves the fences at Aintree, and if you even watch his jumping at Cheltenham, he almost gives them too much air. He's that style. He's a lovely, lovely style over a fence. He's not that quick, but he's a nice style, and I think it suits Aintree. Off 137, if he gets round, he should be hard to beat.
Okie dokie. Have you got anything else for the rest of the car very quickly? The 210 is on TV here. Interesting handicap hurdle. Anything for you there?
Not for me anyway, no.
Not sitting that one out. Graham?
I thought that was a tough race, the 210. The first race is always a cracking race. The juvenile fillies hurdle, I think the horse that won it last year was Jers Girl, who obviously went on to be very, very smart. It's worth keeping an eye on for the future, but nothing I particularly fancy elsewhere on the card.
Okay, and yourself?
Oh, sorry, take that back. Sorry.
Go on, rewind.
I've just seen the name of one. Old Grange Wood.
Right.
Did anyone see this horse make its chase debut at Kempton? Old Grange Wood. Wow.
No. Where are we? Where are we running?
12:30 at Aintree. What a display this one put up first time out over fences. Now, it's the sort of horse that's always looked like a chaser. I think it was an Irish pointer in previous, before it got to Dan Skelton, and it made an impressive winning chase debut. Sadly, I laid it, and it drifted, and it went off far too big, and it cost me more than it should have done. But
he actually beat Sutton Manor in a point in, I think it was Lingstown or somewhere. He beat a horse of Gordon Elliott's that won a maiden hurdle there recently.
Yeah, he's a nice horse anyway. I won't be backing him, but I wouldn't put anyone off backing him. Old Grangewood.
Okay, and Frank, anything else on the rest of the card at all?
Just a Mayor's Juvenile Hurdle. Evening Hush won very easily at Exeter, and the secondary opposes, but you couldn't but be taken by her that day. Now, she's up against some unknown quantities here, and Alan King has a good record in the race. But like if she's floating around 4 or 5 to 1 this evening, I'll be sucked in.
Indeed. So there's a value elsewhere on the card. I mean, very quickly, Graham was asking for one tip. Was there anything else at Wetherby or Chepstow or anywhere else you're interested in? You can say no if there's a...
No, I can't say I've looked anywhere other than Sandown and Aintree tomorrow. I think that's where all the big action is.
Okay, and gents, come to you. It's Ferry House as well, isn't there, on Saturday? DJ?
Yeah, two. We'll come to Sunday, obviously, which is the best card of the season so far in various. But Saturday, an opening beginner's chase, 11:55, a real nice race. This is the race that Ruled the World was beaten by Adrian de Motz 2 years ago, beating a nose that day. But it's a really nice race with Martello Tower, who won the Albert Bartlett a few years ago. Acapella Bourgeois is in it as well. He won 2 Grade 2s last year, and Genie in a Bottle, who made a nice debut at Ferrier. So that's a real nice race, and I'd say I marginally prefer Martello Tower. But later on in the card, there's one I like, and it's funny, I've been praying that he was going to run in this race since he got him. Turnover Savola, who's trained by Gordon Elliott now, was originally with Alan King. I did Gordon's stable tour with him, and we were going through the horses. It was the one race I wanted this horse to go for, because I think he's a really good jumper. He lost his way for Alan King, and you know, his run over hurdles wasn't nothing to get too excited about in Punchestown. It was in the fog that day, the first race in the fog, and you really couldn't see a thing. But he was beaten 26 lengths, and he only beat one home, so it wasn't exactly mind blowing. But he's down to 126 over fences now. I think he was as high as 140. He's with Elliott. He's a 2-mile chaser who jumps well, and I've a feeling he's been laid out for this race. So Turnover Savola in the 12:55 at Ferryhill for me.
And very quickly, Frank, anything left of field?
Well, I'd echo what David said there with Turnover Savola. Right. He's thrown in, like he was 5th in the Grand Island off 137. He's going to go close. There's one that wouldn't be on anyone's radar. The 12:35 at Chepstow, there's a horse of Neil King's called Big Meadow. It won its first bumper by 15 lengths. Now, the horse that was second, George Deschamps, went to the champion bumper. finished down the field, but subsequently he won a Foss last bumper, he won a maiden hurl at Chepstow, and he won carrying a penalty at Aintree. The second has come out and won. This Big Meadow beat it 15 lengths. Now, it was beaten on its carrying a penalty next time at Uttoxeter by a horse of David Pipes called Mr. Big Shot. He's one you want to be putting in your tracker. I think he could be very good. But this Big Meadow could be a price tomorrow, considering Nichols, Skelton and John Joe and Philip Hobbs all have runners in the race. This could be a nice each-way price, and I wouldn't be shocked if this actually beat them all.
Okie doke, I don't think it's a
bet. And in the 105...
Go on.
And then the 105, Kerrow won a handicap hurdle at Aintree off 1-2-0. It's over fences off 1-2-4 tomorrow. It's definitely well handicapped if this jumps well. I think that'll go well as well.
Okay, I was just going to say, Weatherby, it's not a bet, but my old friend Cole Harden makes his chase debut, so one to keep an eye on there.
If he doesn't win, I will be absolutely staggered. I think it's a stone-cold certainty.
Right then, gents, we know what time it is. Saturday's best bet, Mr. Graham Rodway.
Always worth remembering that horse did lose.
Saffy and Daroe.
Yeah. 120 at Sandown. I know you've all tipped against it, but Arctic Gold for Nigel Twiston Davis ran a huge race at Cheltenham last time out from the front in a race where they went a really good pace and did amazingly well to still be there coming to the last and only faded from the last. I thought he was shaped a lot better than his final finishing position there.
Okey-doke.
And Tom Humphries is claiming £10, which is great value for that.
Okay, so we get on that. Mr. David Jennings?
I'd love to give one at a bigger price, like Turnover Savola, Asdemi, Brain Pair, all them.
Come on,
but I don't think you will ever get a better. I don't think you'll ever get a better chance to back a horse at such a good price like Undersow tomorrow.
Right.
Undersow wins that Tingle Creek.
Undersow wins the Tingle Creek for David. Mr. Frank Hickey?
At the 225, Console de Tay for me.
Console de Tay in the 225.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP Fav in all races at one meeting today. And at one meeting every day this month. Max £25 per race, not available in shops. 18 plus, gambleaware.co.uk.
You're listening to the Racing Postcast. I've got Graham Rodway with me, David Jennings and Frank Hickey on the line. We'll come to the Irish lads for this one first. DJ... the 110 is, of course, the Royal Bond. The 140, the Hatton's Grace. The 240, the Drimore Novices Chase. An unbelievable day's racing at Fairyhouse.
It is. It's a cracker. It really is. It's definitely the bet. Like when we got the decks through this morning, you were kind of hoping that most of them would stand their ground. And apart from Faheen, obviously, and maybe Nichols Canyon, the rest of them have. I'd say Peter Rowan Fairyhouse was absolutely over the moon. Starting off in the Royal Bond, Peace News is favourite on the back of his Cork win, and that was a cracking maiden hurdle. It was probably the best maiden hurdle of the year. It beat Shirako Valles, who Gordon Elliott talked up very highly of as in a stable tour, and Timmy Rowley of Willie Mullins. It really was a top-notch maiden hurdle, and you'd have to be really impressed with the way Peace News did it. But the one at a bigger price I'm interested in hearing is Le Martelan of Noel Meads and Sean Flanagan rides. He was very disappointing at Navan. He was only third to Le Bake, but things didn't go well that day. He was, for some reason, he was wearing blinkers that day, and he's a free-going sort. It kind of made no sense. He's in a hood, which I think will suit better. I think he'll settle better. He's a huge engine, and I think they'll go off. He's definitely a play for betting and running punters, because he's going to be a long way clear after a couple of furlongs. He's going to be a huge price. I think he's 20s with Paddy Power, right. Maybe. He mightn't win, but I think he'll run far better than his odds suggest in the Royal Bond.
Okie doke. And we'll shuffle you. You can do them all in one go, DJ. Go on to the 140.
Okay, I'll be really quick because I know time is running out. Look, Vroom Vroom Mag is obviously going to be all the rage here. I think she's 10 to 11 with Paddy Power. I think she'll probably win. I'm surprised Apple's Jade is out again. There is so many question marks about the rest of them. I think Vroom Vroom Mag will probably win, and I'd be surprised if Shane's Hill wasn't second. I think that's fairly straightforward, the 140. And in the
Drinmore, 240.
The Drinmore, the 240. Yeah. The two I like are just for this day. I'm a huge fan of Annabelle Fly, who I think could have I think he's certainly a Grade 1 chaser. I thought he was impressive at Navan. I think fives is very fair. I'm just worried about the ground. I'd like it a little bit softer for Annabelle Fly. And I think Diamond King is a very, very good jumper, but I think he's priced accordingly at 9 to 4.
He's got his ground, Diamond King, hasn't he? I thought.
He does, yeah. And look, you'd have to love the way he jumped at Galway. Like he was foot perfect there, and I think he's going to come on for that. And this has been the plan. Like Gordon said even before he ran at Galway, he said we want Davy Russell to ride him here, and that's why he's out so early, because he's got the big band coming up, and then we're going to go for the Drinmore. So he's had this plan mapped out for some time. I think it could be Diamond King's day, but I really do like Annabelle Fly.
Okay, DJ's got the Trixie sorted there. And Mr. Frank Hickey, if you could run through the betting for these great contests.
The Royal Bond were 7-4 Peace News, 130 Saturnats, 9-2 LeBake, 11-2 Penn Hill, 13-2 Early Beach, and 20-1 the Martelan, 25-1 Bar. In the Hatton's Grace, my computer's after freezing, 2 seconds. It's 10-11 Vroom Vroom Mag, 3-1 Apples Jade, 9-2 Shane's Hill, and 20-1 Bar. And in the Drinmore, it's 9-4 Diamond King, 5-2 at Twafill, 4-1 Annabelle Fly, 9-2 Alpha des Obeaux, and 14-1 Bar.
If I had to push you, Frank, for a best bet on the Fairy House car, would you have one?
Well, if you want a winner, Vroom Vroom will win. I think St Stephen's Green in the handicap hurdle is interesting enough. There was rumours they were going to send him to the Greatwood, but rerouted to this, and I think he's still well handicapped off 1-2-4. No, it's a very competitive race, but again, it's been each way pick.
Okay, it's Great Action Ireland. We're going to have to shuffle this along back to the GB action, Graham. We mustn't forget is the Peterborough Chase at Huntington at 2 o'clock. We've got some, it's a cracking little field. Do you have a view on the race? My old friend Dodgy Bullets is in here. I think he could bounce back after getting totally worked up at Ascot last time. I put a run through that.
He is an old friend of yours as well, isn't he? I mean,
yes,
you used to love him when he was a novice hurdler,
well,
and he was getting beaten all the time.
Yeah, I know, and then he went and won a Tingle Creek of the Champion Chase.
I mean, he turned into a brilliant horse, didn't he? He was another Nichols horse that wasn't great that turned into a top one.
Yeah.
I don't have a strong view on the race. T for 2 is a horse that I'm really interested in with a long-term future, but this isn't his trip on a sharp track like
3 miles of
Huntingdon.
soft ground.
He surely wants further. Just a quick note on the Royal Bond. When the horses got moved out of Mullins's yard, I heard a rumour that the best horse that he lost was Peace News.
Right.
And that let's just say the words future champion hurdle winner were muttered.
Right. Okay.
So I'm excited to see Peace News run again. It apparently has been fragile though, so let's hope that Henry Dobrummer can keep him in one piece.
Indeed. So right, well, okay then, gentlemen, it's been absolutely brilliant. I'm going to have to say goodbye to Mr. Graham Rodway. My many thanks to David Jennings and Frank Hickey for joining us. Join us again on Monday where we'll have the weekend review on the Postcast. And if you're feeling festive, don't forget to rate and subscribe us on the Postcast on iTunes. Thanks for listening.
The Race and Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They prize support UK and Irish racing the night before.